Well, welcome everyone to this afternoon's interview. I'm so happy to welcome Scott Graham today. Scott is the author of um,
20 books, 20
20.
books now and counting.
I was stunned at that number. I thought it was 11, but 20.
20.
And your latest book, which has me curious, intrigued, fascinated, is the psychedelic preparation workbook,
Yep,
right?
that's this one right here.
Fabulous.
It is part one of these two books go together. This is psychedelic preparation and this is psychedelic integration.
Okay, so
Look at that. That's a thick amount of stuff to go through, right?
it's a lot of stuff. And thank you so much for being here today, for being willing to answer questions about what could be a very controversial topic. I've been
It can be, but it's an important topic because people are out there having psychedelic experiences, and they want those experiences to be meaningful. They want those experiences to be transformative, and there's just not the resources to help them do that and figure it out in a safe, positive, impactful way. And that's why I wrote these books.
I'm so glad you wrote them. I've watched some of the interviews you've done and your transparency around grief, around your being a seeker for healing, not only for yourself, but it seems like one heart at a time to heal the world of grief.
Yeah,
That is
it
an amazing
does. Yes.
experience. So thank you for doing the work yourself and for making it possible. This is a different psychedelic experience than the 70s, right?
It is. It is. It is.
Intentional, it's purposeful, it's driven by the desire for insight. And so I would really love to hear what prompted your first psychedelic experience in this context of
It,
healing and self-awareness.
my first psychedelic experience was driven around my grief and loss around my husband, and looking to expand and have some insight into that. And my intention was, I talk a lot about this in the psychedelic preparation piece. My intention was not to heal that. I didn't have this goal. And we talk a lot about this in preparation, that there's a difference between a goal, a wish, a desire, a hope, and an intention.
Yes.
An intention is malleable, and an intention, if you have developed a firm, skillful, strong intention, you're not going to feel like you failed at achieving it, because you can feel like you failed at achieving a goal. You can fail like you failed at achieving your wish. But if you've crafted an intention skillfully and deliberately, you're not going to feel like a failure, as long as you're engaged. As long as you're engaged.
That brings me to a new topic, which is engagement. You use that word frequently in your work. It's a it draws me in to the experience. But what's the context you're using for engagement? Is it spiritual, emotional, physical, psychological? What type of engagement is the highest use of this psychedelic experience?
That's a great question, Lisa. And actually, the subtext of the book is 60 days to engagement. Engagement is not a topic that people talk about in psychedelic-assisted therapy. And I think it's it's a huge component that's missing. And it is all of those things that you talked about. Spiritual, whatever your intention is. Somebody might come with a spiritual intention around their psychedelic experience, so their engagement must be spiritual. If somebody comes with a healing intention, their engagement must be focused on healing. So it's all of those pieces. And the importance of it is that so many other books out there about preparation talk about crafting an intention, doing this, doing that, and then it's woohoo, off to the psychedelic experience without any talk about meaningful engagement. And the example that I draw, I talk about this right in this book. I'm going to find this part here and share it because it is huge about the consequences of not being engaged. A few years ago, there was an Olympic runner. This is my engagement story. So this Olympic runner was running in 10K, not a huge race, but she's a seasoned runner, run many races. And she was winning the race. She was running behind the lead motorcycle. She was about 2,000 feet, maybe 1,000 feet from the finish line. And they wanted to have a great photo finish. And so the motorcycle veered off the route and down a side street. This athlete, trained, prepared, integrated, fully focused on running, suddenly became disengaged in that present moment, and she followed the motorcycle off route. She lost the race. She lost the race. She lost thousands of dollars. She came in third instead of first. That's an example of engagement because you can prepare, you can really fire things up, you can have everything wired. But in the moment, if you are not engaged, all the work you've done is for nothing. And that's a piece that's missing from current approaches in psychedelic-assisted therapy, but it's not missing from this preparation workbook.
That is ultimately important. And I have neglected telling everyone what you do for a living, which is you're a life coach, a business coach, a counselor, you are an EMT, you do many things in the community, you have
This
an
goes on.
I could go on and on and on.
I'm not
But
an astronaut yet. Somebody pointed, I was on a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, "Tell me what you do," and that was their question. They were, and I told them what I was doing, and you could see this guy go. He went like this. He goes, "You're not an astronaut yet," and I'm like, "No, I'm getting there. I'll get to that next year."
I want to be really specific about the intentionality of purpose in the workbook process. So how can Joe Average or Jane Average, who's never had a psychedelic experience, but they have recurring experiences from a traumatic event in their lives? How is this workbook grounding for them? How is it practical for them? Your differentiation between goals and intention was really important because intention is sort of an open-ended experience that has a particular color to it.
Right.
So tell us how I could use your workbook.
So what this workbook is it's not just a random group of questions that is put together. Just both workbooks are not that way. They are a curated list of activities, journal prompts, a series of exercises that you can do so that you prepare for your psychedelic experience, and then after your psychedelic experience, you work to integrate that into your life. Because if you don't integrate it, it's useless also, right? You have to do both. And part of this workbook talks about researching, learning more about whatever substance you're doing. That's part of what you get out of this workbook. There's a piece in here about seeking professional support, identifying the support you want. There's a whole safety approach. I call it Trip Safe. TRIPSAFE, to help make sure your psychedelic experience is grounded, safe, healthy, and is ultimately going to benefit you. All of that's in this book, step by step, day by day, over 60 days. And then afterwards, the next 60 days are in this book to help you take what you got out of the psychedelic experience and turn it into something meaningful in your life.
Wonderful. So the experiential piece is sandwiched between preparation and then integration.
Exactly, exactly.
So I'll ask you this again, but would you tell people how to get a hold of you, Scott? And you are a psychedelic coach as
Yes.
well. So
Yes, they can
tell,
easily find me. Just Google, where's my name? Right down there. If you
oh,
Google G. Scott Graham author, you'll see this interview, other interviews. You can go to psychedelic-supportcoach.com to get this. These books are on Amazon. They're on Barnes and Noble. They're on Google. You can get them anywhere. You can get a PDF copy. You can get the printed copy. I think the printed copy is better for folks because there's a piece that you get from actually writing that is transformative, I think. This book includes instructions on Anapana meditation, awe walks, all these things that are going to come together to give you a strong, powerful, impactful psychedelic experience. And this book includes writing a letter to yourself. And when you write that letter to yourself, you send it to me, I hang on to it for a year and send it right back to you.
that sounds like an amazing experience for anyone who's sincere about this deep
Absolutely.
of the self.
Right.
Um, can you give us about 3 sentences to wrap up why you believe this is useful for people? What has it, how has it impacted you, Scott?
So many people, this is going to be more than 3 sentences, because I'm more than a 3 sentence kind of guy. That's otherwise I wouldn't be writing books. And so, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do and just jump into it, but there are things that you want to do and have an impact of, like psychedelics, that you plan on maybe doing one time, maybe twice. It's not like you're trying to gear up for a basketball game or a soccer game or whatever that I'm just going to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. You want that one experience or that two experiences that you are doing to really have an impact on you. And this set of books will give somebody that grounding and follow-up so that the effort you're doing is going to, if you're going to the Great Wall of China once, you want to make sure that it's spectacular. If you're climbing Machu Picchu once, you want to make sure that it's spectacular.
That's a great example. And I want to just be clear, this isn't a recreational mango margarita. It is a purposeful experience done with great intention and fantastic results for healing and for understanding the self.
For transcendence.
For
That's
trans
what this is about, for transcendence.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
I wish we had an hour. You are fabulous, Scott.
This was great. It was a privilege to be here. Thank you very much, Lisa.
Thank you, Scott.
Bye-bye.